People living on Florida's panhandle could be just about 48 hours away from a hurricane making landfall.
It's expected to make landfall as a Category 3 as soon as Wednesday morning.
This storm has defied everyone in terms of how strong it has gotten.
You know, I've been out there so many times, and it still just is amazing to look at the footage. Well, Mother Nature in general tends to do whatever she wants to do, and hurricanes in particular seem to have the knack of heading one way and then quickly changing direction and heading somewhere else. So I think everybody just was really kind of on edge about where exactly it was going, until it actually did start coming on land, and then it pretty much was clear that it was going to go right over Tyndall. Seeing the footage is bad enough, but actually getting to base and actually starting to drive around and look at some of the devastation, some of the destruction, you don't get the same sense looking at a picture versus actually standing there. It looked like a bomb had gone off. Part of me was thinking, wait a minute, I'm not over in the Middle East in some war zone. I'm in the United States, in the panhandle of Florida. It's so intense, you can't even describe it. Really, the first step was assessment. We really are in support of the wing commander and the wing there. It is his base. I have been very clear with them that I understand that it's their base. We had teams that came in and started kind of methodically going building to building. We did kind of a first cut of clearly these buildings are damaged beyond repair, so that went on one list. Then there was another sort of clearly this building received minimal damage, so it's probably salvageable. And then there was a whole bunch of them that were sort of in that in-between. Maybe they're good enough, maybe they're salvageable, but maybe they're not. You know, that was kind of the first cut. And then we went back and looked at the ones that were maybes and did a little bit more in-depth, going inside the buildings, really kind of getting on top of the roofs, looking at the roof structure, looking at the building envelope. We were very methodical about, you know, we had facilities boards that went through and said, okay, what's the deal with that one? And we sort of decided either, yes, we think we're going to try to keep that building, or no, we're not. Once we did that and we sort of knew what buildings we were going to keep, we then brought in a contractor to basically redo the whole installation development plan. Very early on, it became very clear, Mr. Ed Oshiba was the AFCEC director at the time, and it was very clear that there was so much work that was going to need to be done that there's no way we could ask the base to take that all on, plus trying to continue with the mission. So it was very clear that we could not expect the base to be able to handle all of this with the resources that they have just organically. So Mr. Oshiba asked me to lead the team, and then we started talking about, borrowing some military positions, and then we started the process of getting approval for civilian overhires, and then developing position descriptions, getting those classified, getting them advertised, getting them filled. We had 484 buildings before Hurricane Michael. I think at the end of the day, we're going to demolish over half of the buildings. We are going to be rebuilding. We have 44 military construction projects that are going to bring 120 new facilities back. We have got all of the design efforts have been on contract for some time now. We actually made our first military construction project award about a week ago through the Corps of Engineers for the Child Development Center. We also have been very successful with engaging with AFWorks on some of the innovation ideas. From the very beginning, the thought was we have an opportunity here like no other to almost sort of start from scratch. And so let's really not just rebuild what we had before. Let's really be very thoughtful and build the base that we need, build the installation of the future. And that really started a dialogue and a discussion about, well, what exactly does that mean? Because that has all different facets. So we did pretty early on look at some of the fundamental things like the design flood elevation. We had subject matter experts work with industry to look at historic rainfall and projected rainfall, and also projected sea level rise, because that's going to have an effect. So we did that to establish the design flood elevation as we were going to come back and build new. We really looked at those structural, kind of the roof to the foundation connections and some of the building materials as we established the standard for those structural considerations. The things that we're doing at TYNDALL are going to be really ways that we can kind of prototype and sort of do some pathfinding with some of these technologies that frankly are already in the commercial sector. So I think this is very exciting for the Air Force as a whole, because we've gotten a lot of support for really leaning forward and doing some new things and trying some new things. So I think it's going to pay dividends in the long run. It's kind of the silver lining. I would never wish this to happen to any base again. But we took lemons and we made lemonade. I mean, we really decided fundamentally, okay, this happened. How are we going to capitalize on this very negative event and turn it into something positive? Unfortunately, I will not be around long enough to see all the work done in uniform, but trust me, I will be watching and will be very excited to watch the progress as we make some of those milestones moving forward. I'm going to be just really so proud. I mean, I'm already so very proud of the team that we have down there, and also from the support and the trust that our senior leaders have put in myself and the team to make some of these decisions and to make some recommendations that they've accepted. So I'm really very, very proud of where we are and where we're going.